Good evening, brothers and sisters of the left-hand path. Welcome to Pluto Sophia. I am Dr. Murphy, and I am your host for tonight's video. Today is May 8th, 2026. The demon Furfur, or Furfur, is an arrow of hell having command over 26 legions of demons. It is said that this demon is a liar, that he cannot be trusted. That is, unless you confine him within a magical triangle, something known as a triangle of art. If this is done successfully, then Furfur will reveal truth to the magician. He speaks in a rough, harsh voice. And of his abilities, it is said that he can cause love between a man and a woman. He is associated with chaos in that he creates storms, thunder, lightning. If the magician is able to summon Furfur into the triangle, then he can reveal secret, hidden, forbidden, occult knowledge. He appears firstly as a deer, possibly with wings, or as an angel. And so in today's video, we're going to be taking a psychological tarot pathworking through the storm of the unconscious mind, with Lord Furfur as our guide. So within the left-hand path, when using tarot for pathworking, it is seldom peaceful or comfortable. In the left-hand path, the tarot will often lead us through storms. The pathworker will be confronting emotional weather, psychological storms, as they move through their own psyche. Furfur's path is one of psychological projection, obsession, emotional intoxication, relationship collapse, devastation, and out of that destruction, a newfound awakening. There are many ways to look at the demons, and in particular Furfur, but I believe that with this demon, it is best to analyze him through the lens of psychology and think of Furfur as a psychological process. And so as we begin our pathworking, we first encounter the Lover's card. This is not a card about finding that true love, that ideal match. There's actually nothing ideal about this card because really what it is a mirror. It is a psychic image. Psychologically, it is a projection of ourself. And so what Furfur would be warning us against here is falling in love too quickly or subjectively. That the issue here is not about finding an ideal mate, an ideal lover, so to speak. Rather, it's that we tend to project certain aspects of ourselves onto the other person that we find ourselves attracted to. But in our infatuation and our lust and our intense desires, this emotional storm, this emotional weather that we are encountering, it is very hard to see with clarity. And so in projecting things from our own selves onto this other person, onto the mate, our perspective of them is distorted, which means that the love is going to be a very fast-burning flame, and that over time, as that flame burns out and objectivity returns and clarity returns, that love will fall apart because it is not built upon truth. It is built upon lies in the form of distorted perceptions, falsities. Now, as we move from the Lovers, we next come to the Moon Tarot card. And this is our emotional reality. The Moon is a card of illusion where reality is uncertain. The whole atmosphere here is very much dreamlike and emotional. The objective mind here is succumbing to the emotional mind, to emotion. So we're having more of that projection happening here. We're being more run by instinct and our desires. There is a lot of confusion with the Moon Tarot card. It's hard to know what is intuition, what is real, what is fantasy. It's very easy to confuse symbolism with truth. And our emotions, which are very chaotic, all seem to have some profound meaning in the moment. There's a lot of psychological fog. And although we may believe this to be reality, it is not reality. What we are seeing here with the moon, we are seeing distorted reflections in the waters of our emotion. This is a card of lunar influence over our psyche. The whole atmosphere here with the moon is very much run by the waters of the unconscious mind. Now from the moon, we move to the devil, which is a card of possession through attachment. Here we have our intense, chaotic desires moving into pleasure, which is fueling that desire even more. But that pleasure is leading into enslavement of our consciousness because our attention is captured here. And there's a fixation upon the unconscious mind. And we're just kind of letting the unconscious do what it will. But remember, although very powerful, with unlimited potential, the unconscious mind is chaotic. It is dangerous if left unbound, unsecured. And as we can see, there are chains here with the devil card. However, the chains are loose. So the two subjects, the man and the woman, nude underneath the devil, they can leave of their own free will, of their own volition at any time. However, they are not leaving. They are staying because there is an attachment. And there is this attachment which is so strong because it has become their identity. And even if they begin to wake up and realize that the attachment is false or distorted or unhealthy or even dangerous, they still are not leaving just because they believe this is their identity. And they're afraid that if they leave, their identity will dissolve. It is their own ego that fears separation. Now from the devil, we move to the tower. And this is where something has to break because this whole system, it is built upon a faulty foundation, just like the tower itself in this card. This tower, we keep building and building and building and building, but the foundation was never sound. So here the storm breaks. The tower is struck by lightning, which is the sudden, inevitable revelation. So the tower collapses. The illusion then is destroyed and consciousness is awakened. Although the ego has taken a tumble, the crown representing our consciousness, you can see it falls as the tower falls. But amongst the rubble, the crown will still be there. It is having to start again to rebuild a new foundation. However, this new foundation can be built upon truth and something real. So the illusion is destroyed here. Consciousness is awakened. The tower destroys our false psychic structures. This only feels catastrophic because this illusion, we have conflated it with our identity. Just like with the devil card, that attachment, it became our identity, but that's not real. And people spend so many years in a bad relationship or the wrong occupation or continually working on a project that they know in the back of their mind, deep down, they know it's going nowhere or it's not going to pan out. And they know this, but yet they keep working on it. They keep sticking with it because it has become their identity. And it is their ego that is terrified of leaving, but it is necessary. The Tower card, everyone hates the Tower card. It's terrifying because the truth can be terrifying, but it's necessary in order to have success in life. Now, from the Tower, we move to the Hermit. And this is where the demon is placed within the triangle. Furfur is placed inside of the triangle of art. In this pathworking, we have progressed through a few cards already. We have moved into the storm, and from the storm, we are moving now into silence and isolation. And in this silent and isolated place, we finally have time to reflect and look over things objectively. This is because, and remember, we're speaking about the demon Furfur here through a psychological lens. So consciousness, our consciousness is being placed within the triangle. Our consciousness is being contained so that it may be observed and studied. The hermit analyzes objectively. In his analysis, he asks, what just happened? What actually happened? What was real? What is real? What was just my own projection? The hermit is able to locate and heal unconscious wounds. He's able to know what was coming from his true self and what was just created by the storm. With this newfound realization, we now have liberation. Liberation from the chaos of the storm, from the chaos of our unconscious mind. So understand this. Speaking of the triangle of art and evoking demons into a triangle, for me this is just symbolism when we're talking about psychology, when we're talking about Furfur from the psychological perspective. Placing a chaotic force inside of a triangle is analogous to us placing our consciousness into a triangle so that it may be focused, so that we may have clarity, and so that we may once again sit upon the throne of our psyche, to be in control, to know truth. Now the hermit will move into the Temperance card, which is a card of emotional alchemy. This is a card of cooperation and dialogue and balance between the levels of mind. And in this case, that is between the deeper unconscious mind, which is the waters of our emotion, desires, and instincts, our shadow, very chaotic, very turbulent, the storm, and our conscious mind, which has to do with our awareness and our focus. So the Temperance card is all about balancing these, not abandoning one for the other, but balancing them both. They're both important. We need the unconscious. We need chaos for potential and power, raw power. But that power is nothing if it is unfocused. Unfocused, that chaos will destroy you. Focused, then it may be harnessed. So it's not about rejecting chaos or the unconscious mind. It is about refining them through alchemy, alchemical transmutation. It's about having attraction without obsession, being able to cultivate and enjoy intensity in things without that collapse. And it's about accepting and nurturing our desires and enjoying them without having possession or obsessions of possession over things or other people. It's about having emotion and enjoying it and cultivating emotion without the chaos overriding and destroying everything. And now we arrive at the final card, that of Judgment. This is awakening after the storm, where the psyche symbolically resurrects from the illusion. It escapes from the reign of the chaotic unconscious mind. And Furfur's gift here is the storm itself, because it is the storm that, if survived, leads to revelation. Without Furfur, the unconscious remains hidden, and so the storm continues to rage, uncontrolled. Without Furfur, projection continues without our awareness. And without Furfur, we never question the illusion, which means we continue upon the path of inevitable collapse and failure. Emotion itself is a storm. It is chaotic. It lies, distorts, projects, it enchants, it consumes. But when placed within the triangle, truth can be garnered. The greatest storms are the ones in our own psyche. But mastering the storm, just like mastering chaos, is necessary for achieving illumination. Furfur is a demon of alchemy, transmuting emotional chaos into illuminated consciousness.